It was just one night. Don't ruin the wedding, she begged after I found the texts 2 weeks before. I cancelled my kept the honeymoon tickets. On what should have been our wedding day, I was alone on a beach in Bali. She was explaining to 200 guests why the groom didn't show, while her family blew up my phone all morning, demanding I show up anyway. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I found the text 2 weeks before the wedding. It wasn't even an accident. I was making coffee, the morning sun streaming into the kitchen of the apartment we'd bought together. Our home. Her phone buzzed on the countertop, a violent little shutter against the granite. I glanced down, expecting a notification from her wedding planner app or a text from her bridesmaid. The screen lit up. Mark Redheart. Last night was a mistake. But God, what a mistake. The world didn't slow down. It didn't have to. It simply stopped. The sound of the coffee grinder faded into a distant, meaningless, where my own breath hitched in my throat. A trapped, useless thing. I stood there, frozen, staring at those words as if they were a snake coiled on the counter. My hand, moving on its own, reached out and picked up the phone. Her password was our anniversary, a detail so cliche it made my stomach lurch. The phone unlocked, opening directly to the message thread. I didn't have to scroll far. Mark Redart. Can you really go through with marrying the nice, stable guy? Mark Redart. 2 more weeks and you're all mine. Chloe, I know this is so hard. He's just talking about mortgage rates and it's like, I'm already dead inside. Mark Redart last night was a mistake. But God, what a mistake. Chloe, it wasn't a mistake. It was real. This is the real me. 5 years. 5 years of Christmases. Of holding her hair back when she had the flu. Of planning a future that stretched out like a sun-drenched road. I'd save for 2 years for the ring. Terrified she'd say no. I could still feel the damp grass of the park where I'd knelt. The way her hands had flown to her mouth. Her eyes sparkling with real, genuine tears. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. Alex, that memory, once my most treasured possession, now curdled in my mind, poisoned by the words on the screen. The front door opened and closed. Honey, I'm home. Her voice was a melody that now sounded horribly off-key. You will not believe the deal. I got on these mini champagne bottles for the tables. They were practically giving them away. I didn't move. I couldn't. I just stood there holding her phone, the evidence burning my hand. She bustled into the kitchen, her arms full of shopping bags, her face flushed with triumph. She dropped the bags on the kitchen table with a rustle and came over to me, a bright, expectant smile on her face. What's up? You look like you've seen a ghost. Slowly, I turned the phone to face her. The smile didn't just fade, it was wiped from her face, replaced by a blank, terrifying stillness. Her eyes darted from the screen to my face and back again. Who? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. Is Mark? The panic flashed in her eyes. First, a wild, cornered animal look. Then came the denial. What? Who? Oh, him? That's just a guy from work. He's being so weird lately. It's honestly getting creepy. She let out a forced, tinkling laugh that grated on my nerves. You know how some guys get... I didn't blink. Last night was a mistake. I quoted, my tone flat, the denial crumbled, replaced by a frantic, scrambling minimization. Her hands came up, fluttering in the space between us. Okay? Look, it's not what you think. There was a work thing last night, a happy hour, and he followed me out to my car. He came on to me. Alex, I was drunk, and it was a moment of weakness. It was nothing. Nothing. I repeated. The word felt like ash in my mouth. 2 weeks before our wedding, the tears started, then not the quiet, remorseful kind, but the loud, performative sobs of someone who's been caught. It was just one night, one stupid, meaningless night. She wailed, reaching for me, but I took a step back, my spine hitting the kitchen counter. The rejection in that single step made her eyes widen. Are you really going to throw away 5 years our future, our wedding. Because of one night, she looked at me, her face a mess of tears and smudged mascara, and delivered the line that would forever define the end of us. It was a plea. Yes, but laced with a staggering sense of entitlement, as if my devastation was an inconvenient overreaction to her minor transgression. Don't ruin the wedding. Alex, please don't ruin the wedding. The words hung in the air between us. A perfect poisonous summary of her priorities. It wasn't, I've ruined us, or I've broken your heart. It was, don't ruin the wedding. The show must go on. The 200 guests, the band, the many champagne bottles, they were all more important than the fundamental truth she had shattered. I looked at the woman I was supposed to marry in 14 days. I saw the stranger she had become, and in the echoing silence that followed her desperate, hypocritical plea, something inside me broke open, not into pieces, but into a cold, hard, unshakable calm. The silence in the wake of her plea was a physical thing, a thick, sound-absorbing blanket that smothered the room. I didn't say another word. I simply placed her phone back on the counter, the screen still displaying her betrayal, and walked out of the kitchen. I went to the guest room, my office, my space, and closed the door. I didn't slam it. The click of the latch was more final, more definitive. I stood in the center of the room, my heart hammering against my ribs. Frantic. Trapped bird. The image of those texts was burned onto the back of my eyelids. He's just talking about mortgage rates. And it's like, I'm already dead inside. The initial searing pain began to cool, hardening into something else. Something dense and immovable. It wasn't anger. Anger was hot and messy. This was cold. This was clarity. I heard her sobbing in the kitchen, then the sound of her phone furiously dialing. Probably her mother, probably already spinning. A version where I was the unstable one, overreacting to an innocent misunderstanding. It didn't matter. It sat at my desk, the one where I drafted our wedding vows just a month ago, and I opened a new blank document. The cursor blinked, a steady metronomic pulse. I began to type not vows, but a battle plan. List 1, David. 2, move essentials. 3, vendors. My contracts only. 4, honeymoon tickets. 5, the letter. The plan was a lifeline. Each item was a handhold out of the chasm of despair. I focused on the logistics, the clinical steps of dissolution. It was the only way to keep the howling void at bay. I picked up my phone and scrolled to David's number. My best man, my brother, and everything but blood. He answered on the second ring, his voice, a cheerful boom. Hey, Grimzilla, finalizing your playlist. I told you, no Nickelback, it's off. I said, my voice eerily calm, flat. The wedding, it's off. The line went silent for a full 3 seconds. What are you talking about? Did someone die? Chloe cheated. I found the texts. 2 weeks ago, some guy from her work named Mark Hoy. David breathed. The levity was gone, replaced by a low protective fury. Alex, are you okay? What the hell happened? The details don't matter. What matters is I'm cancelling my half of the wedding. I need a place to crash for a few weeks. And I need you to be my point. Man, I'm going dark. There was no hesitation. Of course, you know where the spare key is? I'll clear out the garage for your stuff. What's the plan? The plan is I disappear today while she's at her final dress. Fitting Jesus. Okay. What do you need me to do? Just be on standby. I might need you to be my voice for a day or two. I can't talk to them. You got it. Brother, I'll handle whatever you need. Get over here. I hung up. The first brick was laid. The next few hours were a montage of focused, emotionless activity. I became a ghost in my own home. I took 2 large suitcases from the closet and began filling them with my life. I wasn't sentimental. I took my passport, my important documents, my laptop, my favorite books, the watch my father gave me. I took my clothes, my shoes, my toiletries. I left behind anything that was us. The framed photos, the shared mementos, the ugly vase her grandmother gave us that she loved. I worked with the efficiency of a bomb disposal expert. Every movement was precise. Deliberate. I loaded the suitcases and 3 boxes of my most prized possessions into my car, parking it a block away so she wouldn't see it if she came back early. Then I got to work on the phone. I was a CEO severing a toxic partnership. I started with the venue, the Grandview Manor. I was the sole signatory on the contract, a detail I'd insisted on because my credit was better. This is Alex Reynolds. I said, my voice betraying no emotion, I am cancelling my participation in the event scheduled for the 15th. You will need to speak with Chloe Evans for any further arrangements. My credit card is no longer authorised for any charges related to this event. The coordinator sputtered, Mr. Reynolds, but the wedding is in 2 weeks. Our cancellation policy, I understand the policy. The event, as far as I am concerned, is cancelled. Please direct all further inquiries to Ms. Evans. I hung up. I repeated the process with the band, the Starlight Orchestra, and the company handling the open bar. My name, my signature, my responsibility. I severed it cleanly. With each call, a weight lifted. I was taking back control piece by piece. Finally, I called the airline. I'd like to confirm the tickets for the flight to Bali on the 16th. Yes. Mr. Reynolds, 2 first-class tickets, non-refundable, just one. I said, a grim, determined smile touching my lips for the first time. Please change the reservation to a single passenger, me and the other ticket. Cancel it. I hung up. The honeymoon was mine. A solo journey to the other side of the world, paid for with the money I'd earned. The irony was perfect. The final task was the letter. I sat back at my desk and pulled out a single sheet of plain paper. I didn't need a speech. I needed a tombstone for our relationship. I wrote 4 lines in my clear, steady handwriting. Chloe, I will not be attending the wedding. You made your choice. I've made mine. Alex, I didn't sign it. Love, I didn't wish her well. I stated facts. It was the most honest communication we'd had in months. I propped the letter against the coffee machine. The first thing she'd see in the morning, I did one last walkthrough of the apartment. A general surveying the battlefield. He was seating. It felt empty already. A stage set. After the players ended, I picked up my car keys and my single-packed suitcase of immediate essentials. I walked out the front door, pulling at close behind me with that same soft final click. I didn't look back. I drove to David's, the city lights blurring past. I wasn't the betrayed fiancé anymore. I was a man with a plan, and the plan was just beginning. The sun crested the horizon over Bali like a slow, gentle fire, painting the sky in shades of peach and lavender. The air was warm and heavy with the scent of frangipani and salt. I stood on the fine white sand, the Indian Ocean washing over my bare feet in a soft, rhythmic hush. In my hand was a cup of strong local coffee. In my soul, there was a silence I hadn't known was possible. It was my wedding day. The irony was so perfect. It was almost poetic. I should have been standing in a tuxedo. My stomach knotted with nerves, surrounded by the clatter of a hectic church. Instead, I was here in board shorts and a thin linen shirt, watching the world wake up in serene, breathtaking beauty. The only knot in my stomach was from the unfamiliar spice of the coffee. I had chosen a quiet, secluded resort in Alawatu, all stone and dark wood built into a cliffside. There were no happy couples here, just a handful of solo travelers and the serene smiling staff. It was the antithesis of the circus I'd left behind. My phone with its new temporary SIM card sat on the little wooden table beside my lounger. Only one person in the world had this number, David. As the sun fully emerged, casting a golden path across the water, the phone began to vibrate. It didn't ring. I had it on silent, but the screen lit up. A frantic, pulsating beacon in the pre-dawn calm. 7 a.m. Wedding time. Back home. Unknown number. 15 missed calls. I took a slow sip of coffee. The show was starting. 7:30 a.m. Clu's mum. Call me, you coward. I could picture Linda, her face, a thundercloud of entitlement. Probably in the middle of the venue, she'd helped choose, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Howard. The word meant nothing to me here. 8:00 a.m. Chluistad. Song. We need to talk about this. This isn't how men handle things. The appeal to my masculinity, the classic be a man and come get publicly humiliated argument, I watched a tiny crab skitter across the sand. La pantiga plue. Chlu's sister, she's crying her eyes out. How could you do this to her? The sheer, breathtaking audacity of it almost made me laugh. The hypocrisy was a tidal wave. And I was safely on the shore. Then David's texts began to arrive. My window into the cataclysm. David 900 AM. Dude, it's a storm. I'm here. Just lurking near the gift table. The venue coordinator is having a full-blown panic attack. She just found out you cannelled the band and the bar. They're only getting half the payment. Chloe's mum is screaming about suing you. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Hold and clean. Not revenge, but justice. The logical consequence of her actions playing out in real time. David, 930 AM. Update. The florist just arrived. Linda tried to refuse the delivery, saying the contract was void. The florist said the contract is with Alex Reynolds. And if she doesn't pay cash on delivery, he's taking the arrangements back. The guests are starting to arrive. This is the most awkward thing I've ever seen. People are just standing in the courtyard holding their gifts, not knowing what to do. I could see it perfectly. The confused murmurs, the women in their expensive hats, the men in their uncomfortable suits, all milling about with no ceremony to attend. The social catastrophe of it all was far more devastating than any scene I could have made. David, 10 AM, ceremony time. This is legendary. The officiant just took his place at the altar. The music started. Everyone sat down and then nothing. No groom. The music stopped. After 5 minutes of confused whispering, the door to the bridal suite opens. A long pause. I lean forward. My coffee forgotten. David. Spulo nolima e. She's coming up. Not on her dad's arm. Alu on it. She's in a full wedding dress. Hair and makeup. Perfect. But her face is a swollen red mess. She walks to the front where the officiant is looking pale as a ghost. She takes the microphone. My heart was calm. My breathing was even. David. 1007 she just said the wedding is off. Alex couldn't go through with it. Her voice was all shaky. Someone in the back, I think it was my cousin, Steve, yelled, "Why?" The whole place heard it. She just broke down, full on ugly cries, sobbing into her bouquet. Is a train wreck. I'm leaving before her mum sees me. My work here is done. I put the phone down. The image was complete. The perfect, beautiful wedding. The event she valued above our relationship had curdled into a public spectacle of humiliation. She had told her version. I couldn't go through with it. A final cowardly lie to avoid admitting her own guilt, but everyone in that room knew. The truth has a way of seeping through the cracks. It's strange. Morbid curiosity gripped me. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear the sound of the wreckage. I went into my phone settings and with a few taps unblocked Chloe's number. It took less than 60 seconds. The phone lit up, her name flashing on the screen like a spectre from a past life. I let it ring 3 times. Watching the waves roll in before I accepted the call and put the phone to my ear, I said nothing. Alex, her voice was a ragged, hysterical sob, torn apart by hyperventilation. Oh my God. Alex, please, where are you? You have to come. Everyone is here. My family, my friends. You're humiliating me. I remained silent, letting the sound of the Bayline's waves, a soft, rhythmic crash filter down the line. Please. She screamed, her voice cracking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I'll do anything. Just come and marry me. We can fix this later. Just please don't do this to me today. That was it. The final stunning reveal of her character. Just come and marry me. We can fix this later. She was still trying to manage the crisis, to get through the performance, willing to chain us both to a lie for the sake of appearances. I finally spoke, my voice calm and steady. Stark contrast to her chaos. I'm not ruining the wedding. Chloe, you did that 2 weeks ago. I'm just not attending the wreck. There was a sharp intake of breath, followed by a guttural sound of pure fury. The mask was fully off. Now, you selfish bastard, she shrieked, Do you have any idea what you're doing to me? To my family, you're going to throw away everything for one night. The repetition of her own twisted logic was its own punishment. She was trapped in it. Goodbye. Chlu, I said, my tone final, flat, and utterly devoid of emotion. I ended the call. I didn't wait for her response. I navigated back to my settings, blocked her number again. And then I did something I should have done long ago. I opened my contacts, found her name, and pressed delete. She was gone. I walked down to the water's edge, the warm foam washing over my ankles. The sun was high now, warm on my skin. In the distance, a fisherman was guiding his wooden owl trigger canoe. Life was moving forward. My phone was silent. The chaos was 10. 0 miles away. A distant storm I had safely weathered. I was alone on my wedding day, and for the first time since I'd found those texts, I was completely and utterly at peace. I returned from Bali 2 weeks later, my skin sun-kissed and my spirit quiet. The frantic energy of the city felt alien after the rhythmic lull of the ocean. I moved into David's spare room, a temporary base camp, while I searched for a new apartment. The hunt was clinical, efficient. I chose a modern high-rise with a view of the river, a clean break from the cozy street-level life I'd shared with Chloe. I signed the lease without a moment's sentimentality. It was a shell, but it was my shell. The fallout from the wedding began to trickle in, not through my block channels, but through the resilient grapevine of mutual friends and David's loyal reporting. The story was even better than I could have imagined. The first gym came via a voicemail from an unknown number. I hadn't gotten around to blocking. It was Jessica, Chloe's maid of honor, her voice strained with performative concern. Alex, hi. It's Jessica. Look, son, I know things are complicated, but I thought you should know that guy Mark from her work. He ghosted her the day after the wedding. He told her he couldn't handle the drama and transferred to a different branch. Can you believe it? It was the most predictable twist in the story. David filled in the rest over a beer at his place. So, the word is, her parents are out almost 40 grand. The deposits, they couldn't get back. The band, the flowers, all of it. They're furious. Apparently, they're blaming her for being careless and getting caught. Classy family. And Chloe, I asked, the name feeling foreign on my tongue. Lost her job. Not fired, but encouraged to resign. The whole scandal was too messy. And Mark was apparently her supervisor. Big HR. No. So, no, man. No. Job and a mountain of debt. She's back living with her parents. He took a long swig. Karmaze, and she works fast. I felt nothing. No shot in Freude. No pity. It was just data. The logical earned consequence of a series of terrible choices. The final piece of the puzzle arrived in my email inbox. It was from Chloe's mother, Linda. The subject line was a mother's plate, Alex. I am writing this not as your former future mother-in-law, but as a heartbroken mother. What you did to my daughter was cruel and cowardly. You humiliated her in front of everyone she loves. You have torn our family apart. Despite your unforgivable actions, Chloe still loves you. She is a wreck. She barely eats. She doesn't sleep. She has lost everything because of you. Her job is gone. Her reputation is in tatters. She needs stability. She needs you. You made a vow to her. Even if the ceremony didn't happen, a real man honors his commitments. I am begging you as her mother to call her to be the bigger person and fix this. You can still salvage something from this mess. She is waiting for you to do the right thing. Linda, I read it once, then deleted it. The audacity was almost impressive. I was the villain for reacting to the betrayal, not her daughter for committing it. I was the one who needed to salvage the mess she had made. It was a masterpiece of narcissistic logic. I felt a distant academic disgust, but no anger. She was simply noise. A month after I returned, I had to face the last tangible remnant of our life together. The shared storage unit. We'd split the cost to store furniture. We'd inherited, but didn't have space for. I'd scheduled a final pickup for my half, a few antique chairs that had been my grandfather's. The unit was in a sprawling, impersonal facility on the edge of the city. I pulled my rented truck into the lot, The morning air, still cool. As I approached the roll-up door, a figure emerged from the shadow of a concrete pillar. It was Chloe. She looked diminished. Her clothes hung loosely on her frame, and her eyes, once so bright and demanding, were shadowed and hollow. She looked like a photograph that had been left in the sun. All the color and vitality bleached out. Alex, she said, her voice, a fragile whisper. I didn't stop walking. I inserted the key into the unit's lock. Chloe, I got your email about clearing out the unit today. She hugged her arms around herself. I had to see you. I grunted in acknowledgement, rolling the heavy door up with a loud metallic rattle. The smell of dust and old would waft it out. I lost my job. She blurted out as if she'd been holding it in. My parents are furious. They're making me pay them back. I'm a joke. Everyone is talking about me. I began loading the first chair into the truck. My movement sufficient and uninterested. That's unfortunate. She flinched as if I'd slapped her. That's it. That's unfortunate. Her voice gained a shrill, desperate edge. We were supposed to be a team. You were supposed to be my husband. You were supposed to forgive me. I stopped, turning to face her fully. My expression was neutral. My gaze level. No. I was supposed to be your partner. You were supposed to be faithful. You failed your part long before I failed the duty. I never agreed to being the forgiving cuckold. The vulgar, clinical word hung in the air between us. It stripped away the romance, the excuses, and laid the situation bare. Her face crumpled. She started to cry again. But these weren't the performative sobs of the kitchen or the hysterical wails of the wedding day. These were quiet, defeated tears of genuine despair. Don't you miss it? She pleaded, her voice breaking. Don't you miss us? This was the moment, the final question that had echoed in my head for weeks. I looked at her, at the ghost of the woman I'd loved, and I felt a profound and absolute nothing. No love, no hate, not even a flicker of nostalgia. I gave her the truth. It was my final gift and my final weapon. No, Chloe, I don't. My voice was soft, but it carried the weight of stone. I missed the man I was before I found those texts, and I'm finally getting to know him again. I walked to the driver's side of the truck and opened the door. I looked back at her one last time, my gaze sweeping over her without lingering. I wish you well, but we are done. Please don't contact me again. I got in the truck, started the engine, and pulled away. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I didn't see if she collapsed or stood frozen. She was already part of my past. A closed chapter. As I merged onto the highway, heading toward my new empty apartment, I didn't think about her tears or her ruin. I thought about the weight of the antique chairs in the back, a tangible link to a past I was proud of long before her. I thought about the silence of my new home, waiting to be filled with my own choices, my own peace. The sound of the waves in Bali was gone, but the stillness they had taught me remained. I had faced the storm, not with a fight, but with a calm exit. And on the other side, I found a freedom more valuable than any wedding, any relationship built on a lie. The bullet had been dodged. The rest of my life was waiting. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.